Yeah, I was gonna say that. Not too sure. That was most of the fun.
Okay, yeah. Where'd you guys go?
We really just went to Russia. So, it was.
Where is that?
We cleared a lot of them. But I know that's so famous. It's traveling. And that's like George, we had spring. I'm not gonna go there.
We went to Toronto.
It's not
Close.
yeah, yeah, I mean, given the length of it,
Yes.
Toronto's probably. This meeting of the Design Review Board and Historic Preservation Committee of the Village of New Paltz will meet April 21st, 2025. Meeting is open at 7 o'clock sharp, which is a good sign for something. Order of business. The first thing is, I think everybody's had a chance personally to meet Sarah. Shane, did you get a chance?
I just met her. Yeah, just
Sarah, welcome.
Thank you.
Very happy. You have a little help with our names because we have unique heads, but we'll get to know us very quickly. So this evening, Sarah's going to shadow Val, who is secretary for this meeting, but we can anticipate the main meeting, the roles will switch. And Val will just sort of want to Sarah in action, and then come with May. And we'll retire. Good. Everything except the retirement part, but yeah. First order of business is approval of minutes. Did anybody have an amendment to the March minutes? Seconded by Stephen. All those in favor? And I'm allowed to vote, even though I wasn't present. They looked good to me as well. Thank you, Beth. Very good. Bill, do you have updates for us? Sure.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again for spending your evening with us, with each other, and appreciates a great deal. Not too much to report. You get the planning board minutes they sent to you.
They're sent to, they're available, but not sent to us. That would be a nice change if they were.
Yeah, it'd be a good thing to do because of the impacts that it has on while you're planning and planning what's happening, particularly when it comes to, let's say, 147-149, on the Chestnut, the large housing development there. The public hearing, there were quite a few people speaking out, raising concerns about traffic and scale and size and character and all of that. Quite a very similar to when net zero was initially proposed to the planning board, those planning board many years ago. So I know that will come before you guys.
Even to that.
Yeah, okay, so you've been talking about that. One of the suggestions I had made to our planning director, we're going to follow up with him, is having some sort of street view, panoramic street view of all the projects that will run up and down to Zero Place to the right sort of property. So that everyone has a better view in their minds about what each of these structures would be looking like. Because I'm not sure how to achieve that, just be the elevations, the front elevation should. So I'll see if that can be made, but you should have some sort of comparison to see what's going on. One of the things that I'd like to remind everybody about, I haven't quite gotten to planning board about, is the sustainability component of that structure. And a few sustainability plan has not been yet provided to the village. But one of the things that helped buoy the development of Zero Place was the fact that it's going to be that zero building. That in favor of the community, by a planning board, and all of that. So I think when you're looking at these projects, we have to, net zero is shouldn't be an outlier. It should be as energy efficient as beyond what the state is at. It's my opinion, I would share the same thing. Shorty's is the new village pizza place name. I don't know that, but they got kind of get back and it's approved to continue working there with the planning board. I know the owner a little bit. He managed the Huckleberry, so that's why very nice. A couple of good people that we want to, and he intends on keeping. It's nice little ice cream.
Oh, that's very good news.
Yeah,
We urged that.
Yeah, because it's sort of like that structure. There were a couple other things. Do you get planning federation any webinar notices, that sort of thing?
Not routinely, but we have gotten notice when they're related specifically to historic preservation, because we did do a webinar with them last year when.
Right. And there's one that it may the folks may have left the barn already, and this one maybe this week I have to calendar, but there are planning federations having or lunch talks and noon. Those are nice 1 hour things to help with your training credits, and this one is on preservation of the Hudson. Wetlands, that sort of thing. I can send that to you after,
These are webinars, right?
yeah, 1 hour quick training. So they're always, I've done a few over the years. If you find a topic you're interested in,
Great, thank you.
I did bring up Kingston's on-base code to you, just sort of putting out there the world of ideas. Yeah, and that is I didn't realize this is part of their adoption of that code. You're no longer able to sign your house with vinyl, which is both not only aesthetic positive, but also environmental. Getting rid of vinyl is horrible.
It's forever.
Yeah, it's forever. Structure. Yeah.
Have you ever seen there's a documentary film called Wooded Vinyl? It's probably a 10 or 15. I thought it was very good.
Yeah, I've seen something like that. I don't know if that's the same lot, but the exploration of. Where's all this vinyl film siding, the water downspouts, embers. You know.
No, that's great. I think I shared that bit of Kingston, zoning, basically, both of them are again. And they are permitting composite, as a hardwood, cementous and composite style. As well as natural.
Yeah, it's, yeah, I'm not familiar with that, probably the guy signed in my house with this, they have a nice long 25-year guarantee on the fade or fade, that sort of thing, requires a little special analysis at your house so that, but you need composite. But it was something. Yeah, planning director, Beatty pointed out that, well, just increases housing costs. And that's true, it does, but longevity on it. And if there were a code change made, in this district in the future, I would think that, that could be accommodated.
Yeah, we pursued that wherever we have the ability to do that.
Right, and I understand, appreciate that.
Pushing for the same. Bill, have you met Sarah? Probably.
Well, he's a very event over.
Bill is our liaison to the village board, sits on the village board. So our reports sort of back and forth, or he reports to us and we actually. Vacation. Thank you very much. It's still, thanks, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Great, everyone. So, any questions or comments before we get into HPC business? Okay, so let's open up our discussion of HPC 2503. Francis Reedy at 123 Huguenot Street is proposing to renovate a garage and construct a new rear deck. This is the proposal that you all saw last month and I didn't accept on paper. So Shannon.
Is your dad gonna join us?
Yeah,
I haven't seen him yet.
Oh, he hasn't joined it yet. I saw his name come up in the waiting room.
Oh, did it? Okay, then I missed it.
Yeah.
Stop sharing.
There it is.
I'll have him on. I'm gonna just ask if.
Okay, I'm on the meeting, guys. This is Frank Reedy.
Gotcha. Thank
Good
you.
evening, welcome.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, welcome everybody.
Just gonna screen share again.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I was gonna suggest, Shane is not gonna be able to vote. He'll have to recuse himself, which to me opens the door for him to kind of take the lead in presenting a reproduction proposal. As much for the minutes as anything else. And I realize you all did a version of this last month, but I don't think you actually had the application at the meeting, right? It was more conceptual.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
So are you agreeable to that, Shane?
Yeah, sure.
It strikes me as probably an efficient way to.
Yeah, so
So
sure
where
about
you
the
want to
message.
start, Shane?
well, I'll get on the side of the table. There's several design things from last month's consultation, but just to bring Tom up to speed. Basically, there's kind of two phases to the proposed work. There's the new deck on the rear, which is heavily inspired, I'll say, by the neighboring deck, Stevens deck. Similar in detail, but I mean not the exact same. But that connects to the main house through basically what is now like a tall window, but there's gonna be a door in that location in like the top left corner there. And then, so that's kind of one aspect of the project, and then there's going to be essentially like a renovation of the garage. So more or less, my parents, they don't need the 3 separate car bays. My dad's a carpenter, he wants to do work on the house, and he wants more or less like a workshop. So he wants to kind of cordon off one bay of the garage and then have the rest of the garage as like a workshop studio. Right now there's like, if you see in the plan, there's like this existing room in the corner right up there. Yeah, so I mean, he'd like to put a bathroom in there if possible, just so he could wash off before heading back into the main house. So that's the change in plan, and then on the outside, it's basically just scroll down to the elevations. There's like the addition of some shed dormers in the roof to kind of break up the roof. And then the existing front elevation right now, there's like one original door to the north, which was the one on the right side of the east elevation. And then there's 2 the replacement garage doors that match each other but don't match the original door. And then there's like a series of these rectangular windows that kind of have like a more like, I'll almost say like industrial look, like they don't match any of the windows on the main house, which it's kind of, we like that. It's, I don't know, makes the garage a little bit more interesting. So just kind of picking up on that window style and that theme. If you go down to the proposed elevations, basically like where we're coordinating, like where we're essentially blocking in the garage doors to the south and in the middle of the front elevation. We're basically adding some new windows to match, and all the windows are being replaced, and they're more or less matching the existing, although the existing are single pane, and these will be double pane Anderson 400 windows. But in terms of like the size and like the geometry of like the divided lights and the details, they're like the closest that we could find that can match. I think they match pretty well. And they're awning type windows. And then there's that new door in the garage, the corner there, which is matching the existing door, which is on the right side of the south elevation. So that's an existing style of the door, but we're replacing the door to be new, but it's matching existing. And then right there where the cursor is, that's a new door opening that's matching the existing door panel that we're replacing. And you could see the change in grade. The doors aren't at the same level. That's the natural, well, not natural, but that's the existing grade. There's 2 steps down, you can see in section, that go down to the rear of the garage. And then from there, that's where the new deck would be. Right now, there's like an old kind of rusted staircase that's basically blocked off because I don't know if it's a liability or what, but so the deck would pick up where that old staircase is going to get removed. And then there's essentially like a path along the north side of the main house. And then the deck basically comes off where the back of the garage is, because if you scroll back up to the existing photos file, thank you. Yeah, if you scroll down a little bit, you could see in the bottom right corner of that photo, it almost looks like there was a deck there at one point. I don't think there was, but there's like this brick, not brick, this concrete retaining wall for the garage. And then there's like a pretty steep, it's kind of fall to grade, and there's like these existing almost like pilaster like columns that are built into the wall. So essentially the deck is going to be sitting on on those piers on that retaining wall, and then coming out and kind of hiding that the area below. And I think it should look pretty good. But yeah, that's essentially the gist of the project. But oh yeah, those dormers that are being proposed, those shed dormers, are going to be on the front and the back. And basically that was just, again, to kind of break up the roof a little bit, but not do anything too overly designed or overly ornate. I mean, it's still a garage, like it still should read as a garage, but Just wanted to dress it up a little bit and make it, you know, like a little nicer. And also bring some light into the space too, since it's gonna be used, you know, as like a garage workshop. So. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then there's that on the rear of the garage, there would be access to the deck from the workshop space, so there's like a sliding door and then a new window. I think actually there's a window in that existing location right now, I believe. The window that's to the right of the sliding glass doors, and then we're filling in 2 windows on the rear of the garage. And essentially like moving those windows to the front. It's kind of the idea, but they're all gonna be new windows, but that's yeah, that's everything.
That's great. How do the windows that you're replacing relate to the windows on the main house? Those are sash style. Aren't they?
Yeah, they're double hungs. I think sorry, Belle, to jump around, but if you go back up, you should be able to see. Yeah, you can see they're double hungs without any divided lights, so they don't, you know, they don't really relate. I mean, they're different. Like the windows have a different language on the garage, which, you know, makes sense. I mean, it's a different space, different building, built at a different time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like when we were designing this, we were considering, oh, maybe we'll put some double hungs on the front of the garage, but it immediately looked weird because, you know, the garage isn't really becoming like a finished space that's part of the house. So to continue any of the details of the main house felt weird. So we just kind of focus on like what the existing details were in the garage that we wanted to kind of move forward and kind of lean into for the design. And you know, just kind of continue with that design language.
And you mentioned that the windows are gonna be awning style.
Yeah, yes, so they're gonna be like hinged at the top.
Yeah. And the dormer windows, I'm assuming are sliders or casements.
They're also awning windows,
Okay.
because like they're not that large, so in terms of like getting the maximum airflow, I mean, I'm not sure how often they'll probably be used because they're so high up, and I don't think, like, we're not planning on putting like, you know, automatic openers or anything. It was just more so to match the existing awning windows and then like have a similar geometry for the divided lights. Just kind of keep the same details. Because I was looking at the Anderson like picture windows, and they had different size frames than the awning windows. So I figured even if these are just like set in place and never opened, the details will match, you know, more exactly the rest of the windows on the building. So.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Reedy Senior, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I think Shane described it very well. And no, I think Shane did a good job describing it better than I would. And so we're just kind of excited about moving forward and making that garage look more aesthetically pleasing from the road also, you know?
That's certainly. Yeah, that's great. Is there any HVAC plan, like a mini split or?
No, actually, not as of right now. It's a good question. Not part of this application. Although, I mean, now would be the time. I mean, I guess there's a good location for the condensers under the deck, because that's gonna have like a privacy panel, so.
Are you gonna?
Right.
Right now, where that deck is, the dirt comes almost all the way up. I mean, there's a lot, you're gonna just.
It actually, it doesn't come up that high, so the way it is right now, I think you could just hang the deck kind of on those like built-in piers, or maybe just like bolt in like a
bracket there, yeah.
Yeah, and then just kind of hang it off there, because it looks like the dirt kind of comes up, not even like halfway up. I think that drop is like 10'6" or 11 feet or something like that, to where the dirt is, and then the dirt goes down like another couple of feet. I mean, it's not, you can see it's not at the same grade all the way along the back, but there's pretty decent amount of height of just like the bare CMU wall. I mean, there were definitely, I think those are 8 or 10 inch high. Seam blocks, so if you count the courses, I don't know, maybe it's like at least, I don't know, 7 or 8 feet or something, like for the most part. Even at the part where the grade comes up the lowest, something like that. I don't know, maybe 5 or 6. It's kind of hard to tell, but
It's
it's
certainly enough to get a.
yeah, definitely enough to tuck a few condensers if that's actually
Definitely,
something
yeah.
we really talked about. Is that something you'd want? Yeah. But well, it didn't make it to the drawings. I mean, I guess we gotta take a look at it, but I guess that's where it would go. I mean, if maybe we revise that for the public hearing.
Yeah, I mean, it was just,
Get it in the
it was
application.
almost just pure curiosity, but,
I find it useful.
even if you
Yeah,
just plan for it for some eventual.
yeah, that's true.
I mean,
That's
even
true.
something like if you're pouring footers, then pour a pad
Yeah,
in anticipation, because it would be pennies compared to what it would take to do it later.
yeah, that's true.
Um,
Yeah, so maybe we update the application right after this and update the drawing just for because the next step would be setting a public hearing, right?
Yeah.
For the next one.
That's probably what will happen.
Yeah, so
Thank you, Shane. That-
yeah, no
That
problem.
fills in a lot of things. I was following by email and I looked at the application, but that was a great narrative.
Yeah, no problem.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? Well, looks good. It's great. And the shingling is gonna be natural or?
Yeah, so actually, that's something I forgot to mention. Right now there's like aluminum siding covering the existing cedar shingles. So on 3 sides of the garage as it is now, there's the existing cedar shingles, and then on the south side, you can kind of see in that center photo. The south side of the garage has the aluminum siding that was that the house has. So the plan is to take that off and restore the existing cedar siding. I mean, depending on what shape it's in, replace it as necessary or just paint it. I mean, the cedar siding around the rest of the garage is in decent enough shape, but I think we're gonna have to replace a decent amount anyway, or infill where we're filling the 2 garage doors, as well as those 2 windows on the rear. So that's gonna be new cedar shingles. So maybe at that point, just replace the whole garage this way. It's all just like the same age and same condition.
I mean, I guess you'll know when you take the siding off.
Yeah,
I mean, we put a different kind of siding off our house some years ago, and at that point, it would have been about 100-year-old cedar, and it's mostly not replaced. I mean, here and over, okay, in there. So you may have a pleasant surprise waiting.
Yeah.
for you.
Right?
have you taken any of that off?
No, I haven't taken any of it off. No, I haven't.
Yeah, so I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I think we're gonna find out. Yeah.
Well, I think it certainly is going to be an aesthetic improvement. Those asymmetrical doors were somebody's mistakes.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, the garage, like it or not, the garage has, it's right on the street. It's, it's definitely part of the house, you know what I mean? When I describe where their house is to my friends, a lot of them are like, oh, the house with the 3-car garage, like right on the road. So, it's not something that blends into the background. So that's why we're thinking about like leaning into just making it a little bit nicer and not just, just kind of accepting the fact that, it's very much visible, and as of right now, it's just not really harmonizing with anything. It's not even harmonizing with itself, really, with the different doors. So
Oh, it's going to be a big improvement. Colleagues, if there are no questions, I guess the question then is public hearing next month. The motion to schedule public hearing. For the May.
I move we schedule a public meeting for HPC 2503.
Seconded by Camilla. All those in favor? Okay. Taking note that Jerry has recused himself on this vote, and we'll have to be on May 12th. That's great. The HVAC question is really up to you and your parents to talk about. But
Yeah,
I don't think there's any downside to.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I guess in the next week, we'll just, you know, I guess spec out the units, find out exactly where they're gonna go and add it to the drawings and to the application.
Yeah, that was a good pickup. Thank you. Yeah, and I think that's the perfect location for it to in the back there, tucked away. You know.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I even be able to get away with, line height,
Yeah,
right? If you
yeah, just kind of,
get in there, are you gonna open up the walls or are they open already?
they're open already. There are, so there's this exposed framing, so we could just,
Just get in there and you won't have it even have the line height.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think I could do. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Terrific. So we've got our vote 4-0 for May 12th public hearing. Mr. Reedy Senior, Valerie will be in touch with the steps that are necessary. A public hearing involves some work on your part to notice the neighbors,
Okay.
and we will take care of making a notice in the newspaper.
Okay.
But Valerie will follow up within the next day or two with a kind of a package of what has to happen.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Our
Yeah.
pleasure. Look
Yeah.
forward to next month.
Okay, great. And I appreciate your time and everything. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Thanks, Shane.
Yeah,
All right, so
yes,
you've done that before.
yes. It's been a while.
Good mistake. Good girl. Everybody, let's go to our next item, which is Mr. Hardeep Singh at 105 Huguenot Street, HPC 2504. Mr. Singh, would you like to come on up to the table?
Oh, hold on, we have that, hold on a second, hold on. Need help?
Again, welcome. Thank you for coming in person. It's so much nicer to talk.
Face to face.
Face to face. If it's all right, I'll characterize what Camille and I observed when we did a site visit 10 days ago or so. Having received the application from the building department, Mr. Singh and I had a couple of emails back and forth just to kind of talk about, for me, better to understand what the condition of the wall was. Camille and I made a visit to the site that you're seeing here and confirmed definitely that the wall is degraded, particularly on the left side of what you're seeing. We also kind of carefully peered over the edge of the wall to see that there's a supporting wall. I don't know if we have a photo that shows that.
That is quite low, yeah.
Yeah, this will give a better sense.
Yeah.
It's about a 10-degree lean,
Mhm.
which is starting to be dangerous, I think. The natural stone is sitting on what appears to be a poured or cinder block base, maybe, about 4 or 5 feet down. Does that sound about right?
So it's very uneven. When we had the person who wants to help us with the wall showed that some places it's 3 feet and some places it's 5 feet, so it's kind of going uneven. And in terms of the blocks that you were saying on towards me, if you look at the wall at the bottom, it's a lot of it is bricks, red brick. So it's a mixture of things this wall is made.
Yeah, you described it as a mosaic.
Yes.
It turned out to be correct.
It's quite a mosaic, yeah.
There we go, that's.
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't send you, but I have a photograph of it. So there is all the way on the left side of this photograph, there are certain portions where the cement is coming off and you can see the bricks quite clearly.
One of the things that Camille and I were looking for, and that's very revealing too, that's the
Yeah.
top end of
Mhm.
wall. But So one of the things we're charged with is always thinking about what the public sees. And from Huguenot Street, nothing at all. But from the preserve, we wanted to ask that question, and we felt that it is far enough away and there's enough growth that we're not as concerned about what the public might see from our court.
The visibility from the preserve, which I'm in the preserve all the time. I work on the water chestnut program with the wall all the time, so. You don't see the wall for a good 8 months out of the year. There's hardly any, there's maybe a few visible rocks, you will see it. But during, this is the time where I took a picture and I can, it's not very visible. It's I don't, sorry. So it's, you are mostly seeing branches and you're not seeing much of the wall. So visibility from the other side is also.
That's the conclusion that we came to. So Camille and I went with the idea, if you remember, I circulated an email asking how people thought about treating this like for like replacement. And, you know, the question is sort of hanging. And in some ways, we're even past that point. You know, we've got an application in front of us and a proposal. But I'm so pleased that you came in, because one of the things that occurred to me is that maybe with Shane's expertise as an architect, George's builder, we might be able to help you retain the natural stone wall, possibly save some money. I don't know if you want to entertain that, but I think we would be willing to accept the Lowe's style block as an acceptable replacement, if that's.
There is no natural stone at this point, right? Only the first top one.
Yeah,
the top one, which
that's.
yeah, there is hardly any. I am very concerned about the structure, and I don't think these natural stone will hold the amount of wall that we are creating. And I don't want to do this project again, so I am. That is my main concern, is I want to get something which is very secure and which is very probably something latest that will have a good water irrigation, that it changes. Because our yard is constantly going like this now, because wherever the rain comes in, I'm seeing that the water is going in that direction, and we are losing from inside of if you're looking at the wall, it used to be quite even, now it's just going like this. So I'm very concerned about this having just to be a natural stone, that if there is not enough irrigation, we might have the same problem again.
Yeah, no, clearly. And one of the things I noticed, I think sent you a photograph, is that wall doesn't appear to have any seepage or weep holes, and that means water pressure.
Yes.
Yes, that's understood. I was thinking mostly about this view, that I think most people would prize seeing that natural stone wall we built over the Lowe's style. Some bricks. It's, I guess, ultimately it's an aesthetic choice, but you do have a historic home, and I wanted to have that conversation with you.
So we might we're thinking about, my wife being a historian has been asking me about the same issue, that we will build the wall right now to get to the level of the grass, so that you're not seeing anything, and then maybe down the line kind of break the project so we can get the security of the wall done, and then do the aesthetic maybe a year or two later. That way we can have the stone, which we will also prefer that we are looking at it. And on the other side, you will not see much, because according to the contractor, he wants to build the same base. The shortest length of the wall is 3 feet, and he said he wants to build the same base. So you will only see 3 feet. So in a way, the new wall will be even less visible from the preserve, because it will have, and with the growth, it's always much more than that. So we might just do the structural part this time, and do the other part later.
Sense. I mean, in some ways, the view from the preserve would be improved by at least a
Yes.
uniform
Yes,
3 feet.
I'm very familiar with the, by the way, I didn't know, I know your parents quite well, I was there at the house when they did the welcome party. So yeah, there are neighbors, and Tom Nyquist, who was passed away, was good friend at that time, I used to work with him, preserve it. I always used to ask him, I said, what should I do with the wall? He said, just do anything will look better than what you have right now. You know, so our goal is to, what the contractor is saying is rather than going straight, just make a little curve. And he will put enough drainage in it so that the water passes much easier and you won't have any.
So he's suggesting outward curve.
Yes, just an
Yeah.
outward curve.
That could be very.
Yeah.
Okay. Val, please see the site plan. I was curious to just remember how much your land extends
Yes,
past the wall.
yes.
And what I should see.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can go up a little bit, I guess.
Just that we.
Yeah. So we have technically 3 walls, which we discovered.
Ah.
There were, I don't know when, there used to be apparently 3 steps. So there is the first wall which you are looking at, which we are trying to repair. Then another 6 feet down, there is a lower level, another 6 feet, another wall. And then there is another wall, which usually most of the time goes underwater. The rain comes in. So there are 3 steps, and our property is all the way after the 3rd wall is where the property ends. And the current retaining wall is very well, much closer to the house, like the pen marks. So we've done that. So that's what, I think I did that thing. Because I was trying to show someone the curve that the contractor is saying to do the wall.
So that's wonderful. That's better than I hoped that you've got.
Yes,
plenty of room space.
yes, yeah. I mean, we have, we thought about at one time to go further and if we are doing the retaining wall, rather than we can reclaim a little bit more of a yard, since our yard is not very big as you've seen.
Yeah.
But it becomes a very enormous project to fill that much stone and to build more land, so.
And Phil always settles, you'll end up doing it again.
Yeah, and
The level that you find first, that's.
no, just on the proposal that I got from few people to do the current wall is quite enormous that I don't.
This sounds fun. George?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you, a question I would be asked, I'll put it this way, about what the cement blocks are gonna go on is really important to have that base.
Yeah.
Solid, so.
What I've been told is they will make the base with some stones.
Yeah.
To level it, and first of the concrete block will go under in the ground, and then. So you will only see 3 feet up, technically it should be 4 feet, but 1 foot will be under to have enough.
And it's gonna be on solid base.
Yes,
Usually it's like ID4, I think is what it is.
Or stone,
Or stone.
3/4 stone.
yes, that's what he mentioned, that he will level it and put the stone, and then. I guess 1 blocks will go under the ground and then he will build on it.
Yeah.
You guys will know more than I will on this.
Well, George, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. What, if you were doing a project at that height, what kind of stone base would you need
I probably look forward to
on the foot? So that maybe is an index of.
That put underground?
I would pour a concrete footing and then start the block on that.
We were very concerned, we don't wanna have any spill in the obstacle.
Yeah.
I love it dearly and there are a lot of birds that nest there, so I'm trying not to have any thing that is gonna release chemical or anything to go in that thing, so I was very concerned about. But if you suggest that will be a better thing, I can talk to the.
Well, that's just, it's gonna be a stronger base.
Okay,
So you want.
I just would be assured or have the conversation, is this space strong enough to
Yes.
support the wall?
Certainly.
You know, particularly if you're gonna eventually go up from there. You know, if you decide to rebuild above ground level, that's a lot more weight.
Okay, so, okay, I see. So what you were saying is the foundation that will go has to be substantial enough to look at the 3 feet he's building on top of it.
Plus potentially
The stone,
yeah. if you
but the
decide-
stone only gonna go, okay, yeah, right, it will go on the wall, right, okay.
I think that the principle I'm suggesting is that the base is everything, because if that's not substantial, then no matter how well placed those building blocks are.
We might then talk about the concrete.
And then a lot of good drainage.
And how big is the drop off you said on the other side of this wall? It's like, did you say 6 feet or that's one of the lower? It's like maybe,
When I've gone on the other side, if I stand on close to 6 feet, I could still see, so I would say highest will be 5.5, and then shortest will be 3 feet.
okay,
And the gentleman I'm working with is saying is he wants to use that 3 feet at the base to fill enough so that everything is 3 feet.
okay, I see. Well, because I'm just asking because I think, pretty sure, George, by code, is it any drop off over 30 inches or something? You need like fall protection, right? Need some kind of barrier? Is it 30 inches, something like that? So I guess what I'm saying is even if it's not part of like the phase right now to just do the structural work, there's gonna have to be
Yes.
some kind of fall protection, so I guess just to George and Tom's point about the strength of the wall, you know, it'd be good to know, I guess, just for your own sake, like what's gonna go up on top, whether it's gonna be stone or maybe, I don't know, I mean, what, or railing or whatever it is, just that, you know, that way it's accounted for. Now, which, you know, I think it is, I mean, my understanding is that's, you know, that's part of the plan, but it's just, you know, like if you decide to put stone later on, then just make sure that, you know, the footing or whatever it is, you know, substantial enough to, I mean, this, I'm stating the obvious here, but I just wanna make sure it's part of the
I mean,
conversation.
we will go with the concept that it's gonna be technically 3 feet plus another foot, so 4 feet wall. But the last foot, if we are not doing it now, we will do it later, but it needs to be counted for.
Yeah,
James, I hadn't thought of this at all, but the definition of fall protection would be like a retaining fence or.
or, yeah, like it could be a fence or like a wall.
Yeah.
Other.
Yeah, when we bought the house, the inspector, I remember, saying that they were not approving it because certain places the wall was broken and somebody can fall,
Yeah.
so they won't give you insurance. We had to put certain rocks to get this thing, to get it approved. So I totally understand
Yeah.
that they want certain, it's an insurance
Yeah.
concept of safety.
Yeah.
I will get that.
Yeah, exactly. It's also a code thing too. I mean, that the building inspector might, I don't know, but say, I don't know. I mean, he might say that, you know, like he might just ask you what you're planning on doing there, just to make sure that it's accounted for in the future. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna bring the phase 1 wall up to grade. Doesn't have that fall protection. You know, if you're gonna do the stone at a later date, you might have to put up a temporary rail.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. Like it might be like the sooner the better. This way, you know, it might just be easier for you to just get it done.
I might put,
You know, like back to
small, bushes that, 1.5 feet, just for the time being, or have a fence done around it.
Yeah.
Till the time, and then,
Yeah.
and or I will talk to the gentleman, and I need to negotiate with him, and I
Yeah, I reckon he would know that, and if not, the building inspector
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
Should have a place. I think, from a preservation point of view, I have no problems with this plan.
Yes.
I also don't see a need for a public hearing. This is something that's shielded from public view. I think we can make a determination. Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there a motion to approve the proposal, recognizing that there are some variables here, really material ones?
I move we accept HPC 2504 with as discussed.
So you got to double team your. All those in favor? Okay. So 5-0.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
If there's anything we can do to help, please call us.
Certainly. Thank you. Very
Good luck with
kind.
the project.
But currently, we are very supportive of what you guys are doing.
Oh, thank you. Glad you have a lovely problem.
Thank you.
A lovely-
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks again.
Just one last question. What's the process now? Do I have to go to the?
Valerie will communicate our decision tonight to the village, to the building department. And from that point, you should be able to get a permit. And just follow up with the building department.
Great. Thank you.
If at any point we can help, call on us internally at this point. Okay,
Have a good
thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, everybody. Let us move on to the design review of the evening. We're going to discuss 147 through 149 and 151 Chestnut Street, Westview Development LLC, with some updates on the project of planning board from the Pacific. Good evening. Is it Max?
No,
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
Max is the land use attorney.
Okay.
I'm Mike Bowden with Enzyme.
We've met before, but I
Yes.
didn't have my name. So.
Yeah, and I'm joined by Carol Pacheco, David Burke is the lead architect. He's already turned to Guinness in Ireland.
Oh. Well, so you think- and now a little bit of jealousy.
Will there be any screen sharing? Will Carol want to put images up there, or should we use the one that I have that you sent?
Carol, I'll leave that to you.
I can share the screen.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing then, and it's all yours.
Okay, that would be great. I believe it was October that we saw each other.
Yeah.
And issued a positive, generally positive, but also very preliminary, design review, report. Carol, let me, would you like to narrate through?
Yeah, yep.
Okay,
So the last time we presented to you was last October. Since then, we got a neg deck on Secura, and we also got the side yard setback variance for the north and south side. And that's like the major change on the design base to obtain that reduction on that setback. We elongated that south portion of the building. And we also have a shared driveway with the Agway project now. So the setback got reduced from like 60 feet to 36 feet. So it got that facade was elongated by 24 feet. And as you can see, we have kept the pedestrian plaza, and now it wraps nicely to that corner. And with that, with those changes, of course, the layout got updated as well. And let me share that. So the total square footage of the retail got augmented by from 7,500 to 8,700 square feet, as well as the unit mix change from 146 to 148 units. So you can see those updated highlighted on the plans as well. So 1 unit per floor we increased. For the facade design, what we did was we kept that design intent as we had before. Let me share those renderings. So as you can see on the upper corner, this is the portion that got elongated, 24 feet. So two modules of this window units got augmented. Also, concerning one of your comments about that railing, we set back from the edge of the building furthermore, and as well, we decreased that height of that railing as well. We kept that rounded corner, that the board also commented on that, positively feedback from that. And yeah, those are the major changes on the architectural part. Mike, if you want to chime in on the civil part.
Yeah, site-wise, I think the last time you saw this, we had a very generic landscaping plan. That's been
Yes.
fully developed now, with specific species. We've advanced the lighting plan. I'm not entirely sure if you saw our lighting plan design last time, but full lighting plan, all dark sky compliant, shielded, downward facing, and we have also provided a lighting plan for the roof to demonstrate that those lights won't be glaring, will be bat friendly and so forth. You know, the stormwater design is generally the same. We might have, you know, refined it since the last time we've seen you, but we're still looking at a bioretention area in the courtyard area between the two wings in the back. We have various bioswales in the front courtyard. And then our last line of defense is an underground detention system in that connector piece that connects the rear parking areas. And there are some roof elements that will provide some treatment, but in my report, I'm not taking credit for that because they're not fully developed yet. So without a design, I can't really. So we're providing the required treatment of stormwater with what we have on the ground, and anything on the roof would be in addition to that.
Great. Carol, thank you very much. Mike, thank you. I have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask. One of them had to do with the change of material. We, in October, had discussed the hope for outcome that this was going to be natural timber. And the letter that we got on April 17th indicated that it wouldn't be, but that it was going to be a quality material, but that wasn't specified. But what are we looking at in the current design?
Well, yeah, we have that impediment, economical impediment there. So we are still elaborating on what material we're gonna choose. However, we want to keep the same color scheme and the same kind of like a strip intent that we have with that timber facade. So yeah, those are the updates that I can share regarding that.
Carol, what are the options before you? You said that it's still being considered. So timber, for the moment, it's being ruled out for financial reasons.
Right.
We were pretty clear that we liked that option and favored it at the October meeting. So what are you thinking? What are your options?
Well, there is always a Hardy board, kind of like that had that wood tone. So we might go in that direction, but we always can go back and give you in a specific direction that and in a later date.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fundamental to what our job is to make sure that the materials are of quality. Okay, so Carol, I heard Hardy board, but I missed the other option.
No, that was, yeah, for now, that will be the main, direction that it may happen like that. But yeah, I mean, we can always go back and, because like we need feedback from the developer and the client, so yeah. We can always go back and give you more detail on that later date.
Sure, that would be great. And I think it might be helpful to have a detailed segment as well, once we get to that point and you know what you're proposing. We had, in October, we had quite a discussion about making sure there was profile around those windows, and it looks like that has been followed. That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should definitely plan to circle back once you've done more thinking on that. I don't necessarily have to run through my list. Do other people want to ask things, sort of take turns?
I mean, that was the main concern I had too. I mean, as I said in October, I think it's a really handsome design. Like, honestly, I really like it. I like just the details, the way the metal details and the wood details, you know, are distinct and they come together nicely. And I like the kind of faceted look. But just to echo Tom's point, I think a lot of that is hinging on, you know, the fact that it's a convincing wood material. And you know, I understand, especially with tariffs and stuff, you know, like a lot of the wood comes from Canada. You know, I know that's, you know, that can cost a lot of money and, you know, is might be difficult given the current climate. But as you know, I would definitely want to make sure that we possible just get eyes on what that material would be, what the alternate is. And I know there's a lot of options, so, and you know, I know you're familiar, but whether it's hardy board or timber tech or any of those other options, you know, just let us know, I guess, what it is you're considering once you've had that discussion with the developer. Because you know, even like that kind of like top cap, almost like the wall cap or whatever it is. I'm assuming that's going to be the same material, but like, you know, for things like that, like those rounded pieces, like I don't know if hardy board, I don't know if that needs to be custom or what, I'm not sure, but it would just be, you know, the way it's rendered and the way it's drawn, it looks really great, and it would just be nice to follow through those details with, you know, whatever the new material ends up being.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if we get to see some cross sections
Yeah,
of the window details, corner details, top cap detail, that fencing detail, little cross sections with the color scheme of those also.
yeah, exactly, George, like a wall section, because even like, it's not even just the face of these wood pieces, it looks like the underside, like the edge and the side edges are gonna be visible too, so. Whatever that final material is, I guess, just to make sure that, you know, it's convincing and you know, it looks, it kind of, it does the design justice, because it is a really nice design, but I just feel like that's pretty crucial in just, you know, picking a material that really, you know, works with the design and kind of follows through on the concepts.
Yeah, including the store, the retail,
Yeah,
glass detail, you know, the storefront detail.
Yeah, this is great. If there are samples, physical samples, they always help when we get down to this level.
Yeah.
Stephen, did you have a specific at the moment? Hello?
About the landscaping plan, that will be, the outdoor side. Then might be nice to have some, not of the series, but evergreen piece, evergreen.
Yes. There were comments in the, well, both from the planning board and public during the public hearing that spoke to providing screening, you know, from mainly parking,
Yeah.
to the rail trail. So yeah, that's It's robustly planted with evergreens along that stretch.
It is.
Yes.
Oh, the version we saw didn't seem to have any, unless I misread something. I was
We'll double check that.
I was seeing,
So,
hackberry, red oak, eastern hornbeam, basswood, gray birch, yellow birch, and tree up.
is that, are you reading that from the restoration list, or is that,
Let's see,
because there's two separate planting
be,
plans going on that, and there's a restoration plan, which is more of, you know, habitat and stream,
that may be exactly what's going on.
but I will definitely double
I
check
was
that.
reading it from page 30, if that's it.
Is there a landscape architect you're working with?
Yes,
Yes.
Is it? I don't want to push you too much, but is there a possibility that when you get more finalized in the plan, that he can do a presentation of landscaping?
yeah,
Thoughts?
absolutely.
That'd be good, yeah. Yeah, that's a concern, if it's any help, we've had this conversation with the Langley project next door, and it was a pretty, it was a very easy conversation, because everybody on that project understood that the swing of headlights is for some months of the year going to be really intrusive.
Yeah.
So we talked about possibly burning something up a couple of feet. And then, as Camilla said, you know, not making everything deciduous. But it could well be that I was misreading page 30 of that. But I think that's, you know, that's something that the neighbors on the other side of the rail trail are entitled to our scrutiny.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're quite on board. So let's plan at some later date to have a landscaping presentation that really addresses that issue. The rest looks robust and really thoughtful. As that does too, except that we've got to keep thinking about the neighbors on the other side. We had talked in October about the bridge access, which is a terrific idea. I mean, for the residents, that's going to be such a value added for living there.
It's a nice design also.
It's a nice,
Yeah.
it's a very nice design. You know, it's good in every way. But it did start me thinking, so the parking is very, very tight. I know it's within code, but it's a very aggressive parking plan. And I'm wondering if the developers are considering a possibility that non-residents might want to access the rail trail from that parking lot, and that would exacerbate what's found to be very tight, if not problematic parking. So I don't know if the answer is, I mean, at the most extreme, as you heard at the planning board, you know, reducing the number of small units to get maybe more families for the square footage. That's obviously a pretty big redesign. There's also the possibility of numbered parking spots where, you know, it's really pretty clear that you can just park anywhere, and all that kind of aggressive language about being towed, because I think it's a possibility with both of these projects that people may want to just come and park closer to the rail trail and hop on.
Well, they're gonna want to, and they're going to.
That's
Most
yeah,
likely.
that's right.
Whether it's signed, you know, if it's.
Right.
If it's prohibited or
I
not,
mean,
yeah.
sort of key gated
Yeah.
would be the option.
Yeah, I think it's an issue at Zero Place, and you go there and there's no parking for tenants, it's full on nice days. And
Do they
makes sense.
kind of assign parking at 0 points? So it's understood during the day that that parking is eligible for the commercial.
Zero, the signs say 2-hour parking, like for the shops or guests, they're parking long term.
Yeah, and there's parking issues now, and all the retail's are full.
Yeah, you're right. Right. So that is kind of the warning sign, like, you know, what you said is people will try to do it. And it's really, it's the planning board's purview about whether the parking ratio is workable or not. To me, it looks aggressive to the point of dangerous, but that's not our purview. See if there's anything else that I want to ask about. I think it's, with Shane, I think it's a very good design. And coming along nicely. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't ask about the railing at the top of the building. So thank you for pulling that back. And the letter that we received indicated that it would be steel or aluminum. Is it gonna be custom? Because I'll just say that the solution at Zero Place with kind of modular, basically piping was not a good solution. We had no oversight over that and would not have said yes to it, I don't think. Carol, what are you planning there?
Well, it's actually, let me go to that. So as you can see, yeah, I mean, we are proposing that aluminum or steel for the railing, but also consider that we do have a parapet that is a continuation of that facade. So in a way, you are not gonna see like the full height also of the railing that it's only pulled back to, but it's also gonna be covered with that facade, with that extension of the parapet of the facade itself.
That would be an example of a detail that we'd love to see at the next meeting. Let's go in tight on what you have planned there.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that same wall section. You know, that we.
Yeah.
asked them.
Yeah, you pick up both of those.
And we totally are on board that we are not gonna follow that awful example of that railing.
Good. We're on the same. Good. Alex, anything else? We'll be happy at your pace to have another conversation. Just to recap, so we would definitely like to know what facade material is being planned and want to see detailed drawings of that, especially the rounded corners, key areas such as the retail shop fronts, the window surrounds, corners, and then the railing. And then separately, I guess, would be a landscaping presentation focused on what the mitigation strategy is going to be for the retail. And then the parking, that's a planning board issue, but I do think it's something that you want to talk about.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
Our colleague Bill, who I guess just had to leave, did make a point that he was asking our planner if we could start to see kind of bird's eye view of what North Chestnut is starting to be, because what's happening here, we're seeing individual projects, but there's also a cumulative effect on a nice sunny day. People wanting to get to the rail trail, and all these new developments could be subject to those pressures. So anyway, thank you very much for coming.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And just let us know when you're ready to
Yeah.
take that next step.
Okay, very good.
Carol, thank you very much for guiding
thank
us
you.
through.
Have a good night.
Bye, Carol. Have a good day.
Thanks. Everyone, that's the big business for the evening. Let's go to design review quick report. George, you go to the update from 199 Main?
Yes, so, siding has been delivered there, it's that LP siding we're putting up. No clapboard, 6-inch exposure, so it should be starting in the next few days. And, one thing that's nice is that when they removed all the aluminum fascia and the vinyl soffits, there were exposed replicals for the overhangs. So Sturberg agreed to leave them all, replace the rotted ones, and they're gonna paint all that. It'll be a nice detail over the overhangs.
That's one. Boy, it's such a case for why you don't do those soffits over beautiful architectural details.
Yes. And last is as per Tom Olson's recommendation, Mr. Burley's gonna leave the brick steps. Stoop, and it's all gonna get repointed, power wash, and he's gonna put bluestone treads on top of it.
So beautiful.
Yeah,
That's good. Again, it's going to set a new standard for that part of the industry.
and Mr. Burkhardt, a very talented landscape architect. And he's going all out on the landscaping. It's gonna be beautiful.
That's wonderful.
Stone walk, beautiful landscaping, a couple of little walls that are gonna define the corners. Really nicely done, irrigation, sod.
He's treating it like it's his own office, isn't he? Which it is. That's wonderful. What a great report. Wells Fargo Bank, we did have a query about exterior signage, but I think that kind of.
Well, we haven't got an update yet, and I think the applicant had moved his planning board meeting date by 1 to 2 weeks, I guess, and I don't think we've gotten any details yet.
I haven't seen anything, this was a month ago. But at some point, we will probably be asked to look at. Item 4 is a really quick thing. I got a query from Lane Wu, who owns this little Light of Mine building, which we gave award-winning building. And she asked about changing her sewer hookup. It's nothing to do with HPC, but I just wanted to let you know I referred her to the DPW and the mayor, I guess, for explanation of how to do that. And that's the last I've heard. HPC updates from 112 Huguenot Street. There was a query about landmarking per home with the idea of applying for preservation grants. And I said in a couple of different emails that I think you're already eligible by virtue of being in the historic district, and urged her to go back to SHPO and clear that up. But basically, I said, we're here to help if needed. And it would be wonderful to find out if there is actually private home preservation funding. I'm not aware of, because then we could help.
Yeah,
Absolutely. People. So that's just news, I guess, but generally good news. The railroad siding project is also good news. About 2 weeks ago, a crew of us went out on what turned out to be a snowy, sleety day and cleared about 200 feet of debris and rubbish and litter right next to the train station. So if you walk by and see land that's definitely cleared, it was also professionally mowed or bushwhacked. And probably by the end of the month, there's going to be a survey done that will tell this group that I'm now part of whether tracks can go in there or not, because the land is pretty steep, but nobody really knows where the property line is, what the end of the right of way is. But basically, that's all moving ahead pretty nicely. It's sort of on schedule, and now the hard part is finding funds to get the track and the ties and the gravel to get a section of siding in there. But it's moving. I also wanted to mention in this context that Bill Rhodes on the 28th of April, which is a week from tonight, is giving a presentation that talks about sort of lost architecture in New Paltz. It looks like a really interesting talk. But I think he plans to talk about this. One of his examples, the box factory that's going to become a hotel that we've commented on. So why don't I'll make a note to myself to send that info.
Okay, great.
He's always such an interesting guy and knows so much. It is a preservation talk. Other things going on. So that's that. Huguenot Street report, Mr. Cook.
Thanks to Val, number 130, we know that it's under contract. The current owners seem to be moving out, but there's no evidence of a closing, but that will happen, I do believe, pretty quickly. Other recent applications to HPC, there was at 111 Huguenot Street, the fence for the new dog that has been installed, looks nice. Fits them pretty well. Up at, I don't have the street address, HPC 2407, that was Jeff Knoll, added their one-story sunroom at the corner of Henry Court. That is under construction now. It's work is 60 work is progressing on that. And Broadhead, 17 Broadhead, we had that in front of us for the second story porch, the railings that I just walked by tonight, and that seems to be done. Or it's a lot of work that's been done. I'm not sure if it's complete.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I didn't have their application in front of me.
It looked really good. I noticed one missing skin. But I see that. Yeah, so they did it. It looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it got stuff back on the deck, so I figured
Nice.
it was no longer restricted access.
Yeah.
There were their conditions.
You should send them a congratulatory.
Let's check to make sure it's done.
Yeah. Not the Photoshop. Well, that's great.
That's it for Huguenot Street.
Yeah, we saw, it. Yeah. That's great, thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Other little Huguenot Street items would be, 152 Huguenot Street was a like-for-like exterior painting request. I dealt with that by email, but it's clear like-for-like. Same thing at 69 Huguenot Street, which is one of the Huguenot Street, historic Huguenot Street properties. They're gonna do some exterior painting, again, like-for-like. Repointing at the Hasbrook House, the Jean Hasbrook House is also like-for-like. We confirmed that they're using the same techniques. And I just wanted to slip in, it's not really Huguenot Street, but the Harmony Hall project, to my eye, looks a lot better than it did on paper, actually. I don't know if you've seen it, this is the one next to the Ridge. The senior.
Yeah, some of the wall.
I think it's really good. Maybe one small regret, I thought that they had ordered windows before talking to us, so they're very bright.
Should have been white.
Yeah.
All the trim should have
All
been
the
white.
light or something else.
Yeah.
Live and learn, but
Yep.
that's gonna be a great resource for the community.
Oh,
So
yes.
that's a happy thing. Item number 4 is the town HPC asked for suggestions to add to their community preservation plan file. And I gave them a couple of names, but Val reminded me tonight that there might be some others that we could do. It's basically just a database of potentially remarkable or important properties. So that's basically done, though I'm gonna follow up with those suggestions. No, art show, we're getting close.
Yes, but before I go with you on that, I just would like to say that we know that when we went to the site in St. Paul's, we suggested to use other than bright trim and window frames, but it was, they already ordered and everything by that time, so.
Yeah, it's,
Which it's an argument for making design review more systematic, and you can't do that, like I think we immediately would have said, if that's the sign you want, then this trim code is gonna work better.
and that's why on that, this is a very big project, the one on Chestnut Street. It's important that we see all those little details.
Yep, for sure.
It's a huge project.
You know, I also wonder, I'm just sort of thinking out loud. I mean, here is this group from, I think it's Syracuse, planning this development and, you know, proposing timber siding and then crying poor at a certain point in the plan. I mean, I don't know if that prevails.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know what the limits of that as an argument are, but let's see what they propose. just feels wrong. I think we're bound to say we don't.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a hugely important part of the design. You know, it's not, it's not a, you know,
That's right.
any significant detail, you know, it's not even just one or two details, it's the
It's
whole
the
way that the
facade.
wood parts, you know, come together and harmonize, and it looks great in the rendering, and you know, it wouldn't seem fair to compromise,
And where it's interesting that you say it's a handsome project, and it is, and been talking to people about it, just brainstorming. And the feedback I get is that it's at a scale.
Yeah.
It's so big. And when you take like a town like Rhinebeck and across from Terrapin, that new project that they built 10 years, 15 years ago, they really made it fit into the town. They didn't have all these flat roof buildings. Now we got all these zero place started it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of conforming. And it's working for the more future projects, but. Again, when they came in with the wood siding and everything, I thought that, well, that's gonna make it look really, nice, and it's gonna help it a lot. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, the scale thing is.
It's big.
It's big,
It's
you know,
big.
I mean, that's kind of what the NVR asked for,
Big.
right? I mean, it's all according to spec, but the people were all, I'm hearing that too, people are worried about the scale and the cumulative traffic effect, right? If you do these individual traffic studies, but it's complex after complex.
It's unfortunate because they create these districts and like zero place. They didn't realize that someone's gonna challenge it and have, at the time, it was zoned for 5 stories.
Yeah.
And imagine 5-story buildings going all the way down that street, and so they brought it down, which is, that's a good thing they did.
Yeah.
So now we're seeing 3 stories. You know, or maybe at that point, that project is so at a scale that it'd be worth giving them a variance for 4th story and shrinking the thing down.
Less footprint.
That's what it's, and yeah, more space, right, utilizing every little piece of property.
Yeah, which brings us back to the parking, the reason proposing the parking is they want the living space, which is probably.
Yes.
That's one for the planning board to adjudicate, but. The formula that they're using is 128 units with 146 parking spots. I don't see how that will ever work. But
Yeah, exactly, when they have parking spaces per unit, but then they have studios, so I don't know if that's less.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's also something going on which is kind of complicated. There's a ratio that includes commercial that flips, you know, the expectation is that it's commercial during the day. And then at night, the shops close and people come home from work and work. But they're also exploiting this option to put residential in some of the commercial spaces on the first floor, which is legal. But there's no answer in the code or in the formula for what you do when that happens. And there was an elaborate discussion of this at the planning board. They're gonna have to figure it out. But yeah, I'm sure they will.
But, you know, just thinking about it. Would it be better to have an extra story versus that monster building? You know, it's a nice design, it's beautiful, but it's big.
Yeah, no, that's true, especially now with the variance, that side yard setback variance. I
Yeah,
mean,
added 24 feet.
yeah, which is not nothing, I mean, that's a lot, it's really reaching
Yeah.
all the way south and north now, on both sides. That's a great point, George, I mean, I agree, I think. You know, I think it's a great point, I mean, if you're reducing the, you know, the lot coverage. But, maintaining a similar amount of units. And
It's
and why not
actually
so,
feasible for them,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and by giving them an extra story, it's a lot less expensive to build up and out.
yeah, that's true, and it just may seem less like overwhelming, I mean. It really does, it's a long building.
It's small.
It's very, I mean, it was big before, but especially now with those variants for the side yard setbacks, it's very long.
Well, maybe, you know, I don't know if it's too late at this point, because I know they got net deck. But is there a possibility of, as we could just recommend to the planning board, have they ever thought about the fourth story to shrink the footprint?
We can certainly, I mean, I
We
would
could
like
just
to write up for.
Write something to them, I mean,
We probably should,
it might be late, it might be too late.
I mean, just that they weren't present for this discussion, so
Yeah,
I suppose I can float it as an afterthought, but it wouldn't be fair to really include that in the discussion.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, but if everybody agrees, I can just like put it in there as a sidebar.
Yeah. It's worth the argument, but
yeah. It's worth to look for them to look at it.
Thanks, that was good.
I think we talked about it at the last time when we were here, that everything is in one plane, just because the windows are a bit different, it doesn't break it up enough. It would be better to have a bit more variation and.
Steven's got it pulled up actually. I think the V shape helps a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
It does, that V shape come out, it helps that long stretch.
And the variations on the windows, so. But yeah, it's a big building.
It's a big model.
It's a big model. This is a question. Yeah, well, that's a B though.
It's probably the biggest building in New Paltz.
I think it will be.
Yeah.
Maybe outside the campus, maybe, but maybe the campus.
And then we can say for.
I mean,
we're president.
Yeah.
But it's the big
Woodland
one.
Park.
Yeah, right.
We don't really pass vernacular if it's so big, because we don't have anything.
Yeah, well, I kind of think there's a new vernacular being established.
Yeah,
And we're also up against a desperate need for housing,
yeah,
right, so.
But then we talk about the fact that these apartments are very small. You can live there other than a single person or maybe a young couple. who
Yeah,
don't have
they're mostly
kids.
one bedrooms, and lots of people live in bedrooms.
But then it excludes families.
Yeah, I would like to see,
Working families.
You know, it's what's happening, we are in need for housing, but more reasonably priced housing, and with the cost of construction, the cost of materials, the interest rates, the cost of development infrastructure, what these guys have to charge rent.
Yeah.
It's,
no, you're absolutely right.
it's, you know, you see one bedroom apartments going close to $3,000 to $2,500 to $3,000. Yeah,
Wow, those are like metro area prices.
you know, metro areas now, more like one bedroom apartment, like he's just told me down on 10th Street on the east side. In her building, one bedroom apartments, 800 square feet, go for $6,000. Like what happened to this world? But getting back to these. How many people could afford a $3,000 apartment? $3,000 a month apartment, you know, you get a couple working. After tax dollars, and if you pay your car, your insurance, and your food, it's tough.
but just to clarify, like our role in this, in the design review, because, I mean, I'm looking at it that like we don't necessarily. I mean, I think it's important to talk about the size of the apartments and the impact on the community, but like our role as a board is to comment on.
Yeah,
Just to
you're
clarify for
right.
everybody watching, to clarify, to comment on the design,
Yes.
and this isn't even necessarily awesome.
No, I think you're right. I mean, we're also citizens, I guess.
Yeah.
Compliance.
No, for sure, and I'm not, yeah, I guess, just wanted to.
So, I didn't mention it, but I think like going up to 4 stories is gonna be just a little rewrite of what's going on.
Yeah, it's probably too late to, and maybe they never considered it.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of pushback with zero place with the height there and.
Yeah.
So it's just something, hey, it's thought about now.
Well, it's also now with the variance, with, with the longer building that we're looking at is, it's kind of relevant again, I mean.
Yeah. I think it makes sense to mention it in the report. We don't have any family or
But I brought it up because it's something, if more projects come forward, it's something we could think about.
Yeah, no, it's
And we could,
a great point.
we could have given up, our opinion to them back when they first came in. If we
No,
don't
for sure.
consider that, did you consider that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, at a certain point, reducing the height to 3 floors sounds great, but then, at what extent, at what length of a building would it be preferable to actually start to go vertical?
Yeah.
Save on lot coverage, and it seems like to me somewhere, I mean, it's, it's not like a definitive thing, but somewhere between before and the side yard variances now, I mean, the building is getting long. I mean, it was long already, but,
Maybe
an extra 20 something feet on each side is not enough.
Is it each side? I thought it was
Or just the one side, or a little bit south,
one,
just one.
yeah, 24 feet.
Yeah, that's, yeah. It's a lot.
Well, I will mention it, it's basically just a mention.
Yeah.
But that's. Back to the art show. It's easier.
Sorry,
topics.
Our submissions will start at the end of this week on Friday. And in that one, I will spend all my waking hours on the library. Hopefully, with the help of the show, we secure 2 judges, Peter Fairweather, who won last year, and also Maureen Rogers. We are still looking for a 3rd judge. But I think it will come together. By the time we need it to. So things are going to see where the original, and I hope you want to come to the reception on May 1st, Saturday.
Yeah, please try to get that on calendar. May 31st, you're away. On the calendar.
I think I'll find it out.
May 31st is Saturday, it's Saturday after. I wanted to mention in the context of budget, so we have that budget line for food for the reception. So it's really important to purchase that and I guess get it right away. Maybe the 30th. The reimbursement. I guess would they accept something dated within the fiscal year to deliver the week after?
We ran into this last year.
I think we did.
Like,
I think
the
we
reception was
published
due
that.
first last year, that's why, so, and it had to be charged to this year. So, I think if you were to do all the purchasing before 5/31 and we got the paperwork in process, it would get charged to this year.
Usually I do it a few days before.
Okay, yeah, I think it'll be important, because we do have budget to do this. Thank you, Camilla, that's great news. Shane, does your wife know who our teacher is at Mount Willow?
Oh, she doesn't work there anymore, she works at SUNY New Falls now.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, that's nice.
but she might, I mean, she probably knows who our teacher was anyway, I can ask her.
I mean, it might be a new avenue for a judge,
Yeah,
if you don't mind that.
Yeah, sure.
Just thinking out loud, that might. And if anybody else knows an artist in the area who might want to serve as judge, that would be good.
I think it was interesting, because
Oh, okay, so maybe not, maybe hold on.
okay.
maybe for next week. Or if, once we hear back from the third. Yeah. Alternative.
Yeah, so Jill's got somebody in mind.
Okay.
Um, well, speaking of budget, so we're almost done with the fiscal year, it'll end at the end of May. We should be fine, we've expended about 67% of our budget, or 84% through the year, so I think we'll be okay.
At laptop, was there a new laptop coming?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's here,
Oh, it's
so
here.
that's already gonna be, that's already expense, excellent.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that that's always just our budget line. I don't know if there's a separate one. I don't know. It'll get worked out, but at the
It'll
moment,
probably show up on the next month's report, so I can keep an eye out for it, but I think that it used to be that we used to share the laptop, and that's why it got divvied up, but
that's
that's.
one, but this
This will be
is
just
so.
Yeah.
Let's see, any other ideas for expanding our budget? The only thing I can think of is what's our stock of diploma frames for future partners.
I do have a few, I do have a few, but I think we might need to buy a few more.
Might be good.
If it's partners though, we can wait and go on next year's budget.
I went to IFA the other night and they have our framed.
Oh, yes, I love it.
It's not ours for a couple of years back. That's exactly what you hope for. That you get sense.
Love that.
I was gonna move them.
Nice.
Away from it, but
That's your joy with tremors. That's nice, that's a lovely thing. Why don't we connect Val and just see, it's the sort of thing that we could do in the last week, or maybe.
Yeah, or even wait, because I mean, I'm gonna be transferring what I have to Sarah. I don't know how much storage space Sarah has, or we'll have to find some place to store things here, but. It's also the kind of thing we get really quickly, put in the order, and have it in a couple of days, so if it's partners you're talking about, we wouldn't do it again until. You know, next January or February,
Yeah, that's right,
so we could wait on that.
then let's wait.
And the art show, we're just using those folders, right?
Yes,
The
those.
certificate folders, so I think I may have enough of those, but I'll double check.
Terrific. Great, so that takes care of that. Very quickly then, other business, we have the webinar on historic windows, there's still one session, April 29. The conference in Poughkeepsie is sold out except for the May 6th first day, which is I guess we're pretty actively invited to that. I'm tempted to go. I don't know
It's
if
free,
anybody is.
there's no charge for.
It's free,
And
you
it
get
includes
lunch.
lunch.
But also, you know, it's just a nice way to hear an overview of preservation issues. So I think I'm gonna go. There's one thing that may prevent that, but that's my plan. Then the workplace violence prevention and harassment and discrimination. Things are on May 20th, you can, in 2 hours time, knock those both out for the year. If you want to block that time out. The oral history still, I mean, it's become kind of running joke, but the equipment is still on my desk, but I still want to do it. Just have to find it. And I guess ditto with our design guide.
Yeah, speaking of which, yeah,
Anyway, it helps to keep them on.
it does.
And then very last of all on the agenda would be just to update you. So I've been working with Mike Baden to draft revisions to the HPC code and to introduce a new section for DRB. They're both coming along well and looking good. I think the DRB is ready to send forward to the village attorney and the village board. So I asked Stephen to help me give it one more look before like tomorrow. And then we'll send it forward, and that would establish the design review board as a separate entity, still with the same personnel, but having kind of its own charge. So that's really just an update, and then I would get to the HPC part of it, which mostly responds to Chipper's suggestions. And I'm sure by next meeting, we'll have a report on that. So Stephen, thank you for helping out with that, sir. Is there anything else we should talk about? So less than 2 hours, not bad, considering we actually had hearings. Motion to adjourn.
I so move.
George, want to take a second? Okay. Unanimous to adjourn. Thank you. Sarah, that's what a meeting looks like.
Cool.